Hey guys, today I wanted to teach you guys a couple of alternate pieces of equipment that you can use if you're doing yoga at home. Since I know not all of us have all of this type of equipment at home to do our yoga with. The reason that I'm showing this to you guys today is because in the next couple of weeks I'm going to do a couple of videos where it features different types of equipment, and if you don't have that equipment at home, you can replace it with something that you just have laying around the house that will serve the same purpose. So I'm going to go through each of these items and explain to you what you can use if you're doing yoga at home and if you're following along with my videos. So the very first thing is the yoga mat. Honestly, you don't need a yoga mat as long as you have a floor that you can do down dog on and your feet will stay on the ground. That's all you really need. I do love my yoga mat and I do love the feeling of being on my yoga mat, and it gets you really in the zone. But if you don't have a yoga mat, or if you're just kind of too lazy to bring it out, and that's going to be the deciding factor of whether you do yoga or not, there are some other options. So if you have a home with any sort of tile or linoleum, you can just do it straight on there as long as your feet don't slip. And if your feet do slip, you can get some sort of socks with like the grippy bottoms, and that might be easier. The other thing that you can do if you have all carpeted floor is just take your socks off. So if you guys are doing yoga at home with me on carpet, socks off. If you have any sort of tiling, you can leave socks off if your feet grip, or you can get those grippy socks. So you don't even need a yoga mat. But if you do need a yoga mat, if you would like one, there are really cheap ones online. You can buy like a pack from Amazon. You don't need the fanciest yoga mat to do yoga. The second thing that I wanted to talk to you guys about, and this is a little bit more, real, is the yoga block. So some of the moves that I show you guys in these next few weeks, I'm going to incorporate a block for a modification for if you can't make it all the way down to the ground. And I'm also going to show you how you can use a block to help you with your crow. So if you don't have a block, you just need something that's about this size that you're comfortable putting pressure on. That's going to be different for each of you. I wouldn't use a pillow because a pillow is going to sink a little bit too much, and then you might be in the same position, like stuck in the same scenario where you can't reach all the way. So something that's a little bit harder, either if you have like a box, honestly, if you have a brick, if you're doing garage yoga, if you have some sort of sturdy box that you can just press on, that's good. And you want it to be some sort of object that you can rotate, because as you get better and better, you might start where you're actually having it stand up on the highest point, and this is as far as you can reach when you're coming down into pose. And then as you get more and more flexible, especially in your hamstrings and in the hips, you might switch it to this position where you get a little bit lower, and then you might switch it to this position where you get really low, and then eventually you might be placing your hands flat on the ground. So it's almost like the opposite of a box jump. Instead of going higher and higher, we're transitioning lower and lower. Okay, so you do want something that is some sort of rectangle that you're able to use the different sides. The next thing that you might want having around is some sort of mat that you can press your knees on, especially when we do any sort of kneeling pose. Or some sort of lunge with one knee down. It tends to bother people's knees, especially if it's on a hard floor. These kneeling mats are really good, but if you don't have something like this, I honestly do a lot of yoga just on a wooden floor, and I take a towel and I fold it 4 times, and I use that underneath my knees, or you can take a sweatshirt or something like that. So don't be concerned, or don't skip poses if you think that the pressure of your knee on the ground is going to hurt. Instead of skipping it, prepare by having some sort of towel or sweatshirt or something that you can slide underneath just for those times. And if you kind of put it off to the side, you can really quickly slide it under your knee for those poses and then slide it back out without really disrupting the flow. And then the last thing is, so this isn't really a traditional yoga equipment, it's a wall ball. But I use it in my yoga classes a lot for the stretches at the end to stretch out the chest, the upper body, and the back. We usually drape ourselves over it, and there's a couple different positions that you can drape yourselves over the medicine ball to do those stretches. So if you don't have a medicine ball at home, what I think the best thing to use is actually the side of a couch. So you can use the arm of a couch, and if you drape yourself over it, you can get that same feeling. And you'll see when I do these videos, I'm going to show you times when you drape just your lower back over it, and then times when you drape your upper back and allow your arms to hang over. You can do the exact same thing with the arm of a couch. So unless you have one of those couches where you're really not allowed to sit on it in certain ways and it's really expensive, you can use the couch instead of the ball. So now that you guys have watched this video, what I would like you to do is refer back to it for any upcoming videos. If I say this video is going to include props, just have kind of your props ready, and then that way you can go with the flow with me without having to really stop and leave and come back or skip poses because you feel like you're not going to be able to do it at home. So I hope that video helped you guys see some of the things that you have around the house that you can use instead of our gym props for your yoga experiences. Don't let anything like that stop you from following along with me in our yoga video series, and don't forget, it counts as a lifestyle task if you are in the challenge. So I definitely don't want you to hold back. Make sure that you like and you subscribe to the rest of our YouTube videos.